You guys are wasting so much time in Fortnite, and here's why. So I played competitive Fortnite for 3 to 4 years, and as a result, became a top 150 player in North America during my peak. I've learned a lot of lessons along the way, and today I'm going to be telling you the top 10 things that I wish I knew sooner in Fortnite so that I could have progressed way faster. Let's get right into it. Guys, before the video starts, listen to this.
This might be one of the best gaming mice out there. This is the Aspire Pro by OneClick,
Which is actually a mouse I've designed myself specifically for Fortnite.
the world's lightest RGB gaming mouse, coming in at just 53 grams.
You get it for 50% off because of our Christmas sale. If that's not good enough, we have international free shipping straight to your door, so you don't have to pay a dime for that. This offer actually ends very soon, so get your Aspire Pro while you can by clicking the link in the description. Thank you guys so much, and now back to the video. The first thing that I wish I knew sooner was the fact that I would always pick teammates with bad values. People who would not have a good work ethic, people who didn't see the game the same way that I did. They wouldn't take it seriously, and they would actually just not care as much as I did. And that's not ideal. You don't want that. They're not going to have a high ROI long term. And ultimately speaking, if you can have one teammate throughout the course of your Fortnite career and have that be the same person because they had good values and good character, that's going to help you succeed way more than anything else. Because the reality of the situation is, and this is cliche, but you've heard this before, you are the sum of the 5 people that you spend the most time with, and your teammate is like 3 of them. Realize that all the time that you spend practicing, you better be doing it with someone who takes the game seriously if you actually want to improve. Take this first tip seriously, and it's a hard one to swallow, but watch your skill improve if you do so. The second thing is actually a fighting tip. You need to switch your aggression suddenly. You have to understand the value of the element of surprise, and every time you hold a certain playstyle for a long duration of time, you become predictable. They can read your moves, they can predict what's coming, and you don't want that to happen. You really want to be unpredictable, and the way you can do that is to sort of condition your enemies to believe that you're playing a certain way. Maybe you're boxed up, maybe you're playing really slowly, and then suddenly pounce. It's very easy to overlook this tip and then move on, be like, oh, it's not that important, but actually, I really do mean this, guys. Like, as a coach and as a player, as someone who's played the game for a long time, I think this is one of the most underrated tips that I could possibly ever give you. It's to really make sure that you're changing up your aggression levels such that your opponent is not going to expect it. I think using the element of surprise in Fortnite is severely underrated by players today, and it should be utilized way more often. The third thing is an obvious one, but an underrated one. Ask questions. Ask yourself questions. This is going to show you where your curiosity lies, and usually where your curiosity lies is where you don't have the answers. So you're going to ask yourself questions like, okay, why does he do this? Oh, wow, over 3 or 4 games, this player has done this thing for all games. Why? Oftentimes, we don't find the answer because we never had the question in the first place. You need to be curious, and you need to prompt yourself to come up with the answer, or at least attempt to come up with the answer. And the funny thing is, even if you don't come up with the answer, just the process of trying to understand why pro players do a certain thing will improve your critical thinking ability and will improve your understanding to some degree. And so then if you repeat this over a prolonged duration of time, over 12 months, then you can actually come up with a lot of solutions in Fortnite by yourself. And that's exactly how you improve your game sense and your thinking ability, such that you can actually problem solve in the future because you built the skill. Ask questions and ask yourself why pro players do things, and I think you'll be surprised at how much you can actually come up with yourself. The fourth thing that I wish I knew sooner is the fact that realistic 1v1s that is one of the best methods to actually improve your fighting. This is how you're supposed to rep it out, and here's why. If we compare realistic 1v1s to ranked or to PGs, which is basically the 1v1s where there's no mat limit, then we can come to a very simple conclusion. Rank does have a major drawback to some degree, which is the fact that you don't get to rep out fights very frequently. Over a 25-minute game, you might run into 8 different people, whereas in realistic 1v1s, as soon as you die or as soon as you get a kill, you move on to the next fight right away. And so to improve your mechanical ability and your game sense within fighting, understand that realistic 1v1s is the best way. Now, if you compare realistic 1v1s to PGs or regular 1v1s where there's no mat limit, then realistics takes the crown because of the fact that it's more realistic because of the map limit itself. Obviously, there is something missing in realistic 1v1s, which is having the map, having the fact that you have to farm up your mats, the loot, everything like that, but you can actually go into ranked to fix that last bit, and it's only like the last 10 to 20%. Whereas majority of your skill is actually going to be developed in creative. I truly believe this. Most pro players actually follow this formula. And if you think about the top pro players and what they did before they got really good, it's usually something to do with creative because of the fact that you have such good volume in that practice mode. I really want you guys to spend more time in realistic creative because I truly think that the volume is going to help you so much. The fifth tip, you need to win at all costs, and it doesn't matter how you do it. I'm really surprised that people don't play a certain way because they think it's cringe. Like, at the end of the day, you're playing a competitive game mode, and you really need to understand that there are no rules in what you can and cannot do. You have to take advantage of every little thing that you have, including spamming walls with your spray weapon, including being cringe on height, including not taking fights because it's unfavorable to do so at this point in time. This pattern is super, super important, and you cannot let your ego get in the way of playing correctly, because if you do let that happen, you're going to make suboptimal choices in your fights. You're going to be heavily biased to do the wrong thing because your ego gets in the way and you want to quick dead your opponent when there's no actual benefit to doing that. And if you played a slightly slower pace, then maybe you would have got the kill in a very, very clean way. Just don't be biased by that and really just do what it takes to win the game. Why do you think in pro scrims, everyone just boxes up and no one fights each other? It's really important to understand. At the end of the day, the pro players understand this too. You need to do what it takes to win. It does not matter how you get there. What matters is, did you play the game correctly? The sixth thing that I wish I knew sooner is the fact that I wish I was more deliberate about fixing my mistakes. Deliberate practice is really, really important. A lot of people go through their practice day autopiloting all the things that they know in Fortnite, and oftentimes what that actually does is they end up practicing the things that they enjoy, because that's what human beings do. They like to watch themselves do good things, not bad things. And so you're probably practicing things that you're already good at. And what's the point of that? That's such a waste of time. If you focus on being deliberate about your mistakes and writing things down that you know you're bad at, then I think you're going to make a significant amount more progress if you focus on those things and focus on your priorities, which ultimately speaking should be your weaknesses, the things that you're bad at. Focus on writing these things down. And honestly, if you guys hear the pattern in this tip right here, it's writing things down. How are you going to remember when you wake up the next day what you've worked on yesterday and what you found out if you don't write it down? And the best part is, guys, it is super satisfying to cross it out when you genuinely fix that mistake and then move on to the next one. Don't wake up in autopilot Fortnite practice. If you ever feel so tired or fatigued that you can't focus, then take a break. That's genuinely where I recommend that you take 20 to 30 minutes or even an hour and come back when you actually feel ready, so that you are ready to focus. And focusing is how you become efficient about the things that actually matter in Fortnite. Tip number 7 is how you actually end up fixing awareness. This is a common problem that a lot of students ask me. They ask me, how do I fix awareness, Psychoma? It doesn't make sense. I feel like I'm lost. I feel like I actually don't understand where my enemy is. Well, here's the reality. You're trying to fix awareness. I'm trying to free up your brain so that you could be aware. Because the problem is, the only reason you feel lost and the only reason you actually don't feel aware is because your muscle memory is not good enough. Think about it. If your brain is overloaded, you're not going to have the brain capacity or the space to actually think about being aware of your surroundings or being aware of your enemy or being aware of where your teammate is. You have to get better at your muscle memory and make things more automatic so that you can actually increase the empty space in your brain so that you can afford to care about those other things and therefore be more aware. Focus on making your mechanics more automated and you will see that awareness will improve because you actually can afford to think about those things. Lack of awareness just simply means that you're too distracted focusing on other things, and usually it's building or editing. And I can definitely tell you this to be true because of my own experiences and even some pro players describing this problem this exact way. If you focus on your mechanics, you can absolutely get to a point where mechanics become second nature, and then a good portion of your brain gets unlocked to focus on being aware. Tip number 8 is instantly thinking of what you could possibly do better right after you die or right after the mistake is made. When the mistake is fresh in your mind, you have the most possible amount of information to think back on that mistake. A potential problem that you might have when you wait too long until VOD review is the fact that you might forget how you were feeling, or you might forget why you did the things that you were doing, and that is important context in order to fix your mistake. If you think about what you did wrong right after you die, now this is a much better system because it's still super fresh in your mind and you can actually remember why you played it the certain way that you did. Also, you won't forget to even watch the VOD after because you've already thought about it. And this ensures that you don't actually make mistakes and forget about them, right? It's a lost opportunity that you could have had to improve yourself if you don't think about it right away. One common technique that I teach my students is to say it out loud. This almost forces you to think about it and doesn't allow you to get lazy with it. The only exception to this rule is that you shouldn't think too much about what you could have done better in tournaments. I actually believe this is a common mistake that a lot of people make, is that during performance, they think too much much about what they could have done better, and this actually ruins your confidence, which leads me to point number 9. Learning is for VOD reviews. Keep it there. Confidence is for tournaments. And so the opposites of this is really, really important. When you learn, you almost have to reduce your shield or reduce your ego. You have to reduce that guard that you have in order to accept the criticism that you're giving yourself or the criticism that your teammate is giving you. Oftentimes, in order to accept criticism, we have to reduce our confidence and put it at an appropriate level. However, that's not really good for tournaments. I would actually ask you to be a little bit positive and more optimistic during a tournament because performance gets enhanced as a result of it. I really think that this is one of the major lessons that I learned during my career, is that I was too much of an analytical thinker and too much of a learner that made me not as confident as I possibly could be in tournaments, and as a result my performance suffered. But I should have kept the learning to the VOD reviews and kept it till later, and so that I could be more confident during tournaments and keep almost like a higher ego, because when you think you're the best, you actually pull off some of the most amazing things that you honestly never thought you could do. This is something that I strongly believe in. Leave the learning till VOD reviews, especially in tournaments, and the confidence needs to remain. The last and final thing that I wish I knew sooner is how important aim duels were. I think I learned most of my aim training through aim duels, and I highly recommend that people grind this. Play a ton of shotgun aim duels, play a ton of SMG aim duels, and you'll find that this, I mean, especially because this method actually works for both controller and keyboard and mouse. So I really think that everyone should quite literally take advantage of this. Aim duels is super, super important. I've said this before in another video. If you had to think about a moment in Fortnite where you must hit your shot, otherwise you are dead and you are sent back to the lobby, it has to be the 50-50 scenario where you are in someone else's box or they got in your box. And aim duels ensures that you remain consistent in this scenario so that you don't miss and screw up your game. It's really, really important that you've put a lot of energy into the moments that are do or die, and aim duels is exactly that. Guys, trust me, one of my coaches back in the day told me to do aim duels, and my career has changed ever since. It is so good if you genuinely commit to doing 45 minutes of aim duels a day for the rest of Fortnite. Do it. It is so good, and as long as you're focused on doing it and you're patient with the results, you will see results. And it's important that you actually trust the process and you get to that point, because I'm telling you, aim duels works. Try it out, guys. Use Raider's map right here on screen, and I think you'll enjoy watching your aim literally triple in skill. Guys, that's it. I really hope you guys are gonna have a much easier time improving than I did. It took me a long time, and I don't want you guys to have to go through that same grueling process, because I made a lot of mistakes along the way, and what waste it would have been if I couldn't share this with everyone else. If you guys enjoyed this video, leave a comment down below telling me which tip you found the most useful, and we'll see you guys next time.